care to learn. It is said that catastrophes are a matter of pure chance, and there were those who would have said that the passengers of the comet were not guilty or responsible for the thing that happened to them. The man in bedroom A, car number 1, was a professor of sociology, who taught that individual ability is of no consequence, that individual effort is futile, that an individual conscience is a useless luxury, that there is no individual mind or character or achievement, that everything is achieved collectively, and that it's masses that count, not men. The man in roomette 7, car number 2, was a journalist, who wrote that it is proper and moral to use compulsion for a good cause, who believed that he had the right to unleash physical force upon others, to wreck lives, throttle ambitions, strangle desires, violate convictions, to imprison, to despoil, to murder, for the sake of whatever he chose to consider as his own idea of a good cause, which did not even have to be an idea, since he had never defined what he regarded as the good, but had merely stated that he went by a feeling unrestrained by any knowledge, since he considered emotion superior to knowledge, and relied solely on his own good intentions and on the power of a gun. The woman in roomette 10, car number 3, was an elderly school teacher who had spent her life turning class after class of helpless children into miserable cowards, by teaching them that the will of the majority is the only standard of good and evil, that a majority may do anything it pleases, that they must not assert their own personalities, but must do as others were doing. The man in drawing room B, car number 4, was a newspaper publisher who believed that men are evil by nature and unfit for freedom, that their basic interests, if left unchecked, are to lie, to rob, and to murder one another, and therefore men must be ruled by means of lies, robbery, and murder, which must be made the exclusive privilege of the rulers, for the purpose of forcing men to work, teaching them to be moral, and keeping them within the bounds of order and justice. The man in bedroom H, car number 5, was a businessman who had acquired his business, an ore mine, with the help of a government loan under the Equalization of Opportunity Bill. The man in drawing room A, car number 6, was a financier who had made a fortune by buying frozen railroad bonds and getting his friends in Washington to defreeze them. The man in seat 5, car number 7, was a worker who believed that he had a right to a job whether his employer wanted him or not. The woman in roomette 6, car number 8, was a lecturer who believed that as a consumer she had a right to transportation, whether the railroad people wished to provide it or not. The man in roomette 2, car number 9, was a professor of economics who advocated the abolition of private property, explaining that intelligence plays no part in industrial production, that man's mind is conditioned by material tools, that anybody can run a factory or a railroad, and it's only a matter of seizing the machinery. The woman in bedroom D, car number 10, was a mother who had put her 2 children to sleep in the berth above her, carefully tucking them in, protecting them from drafts and jolts. A mother whose husband held a government job enforcing directives, which she defended by saying, "I don't care, it's only the rich that they hurt. After all, I must think of my children." The man in roomette 3, car number 11, was a sniveling little neurotic who wrote cheap little plays, into which, as a social message, he inserted cowardly little obscenities, to the effect that all businessmen were scoundrels. The woman in roomette 9, car number 12, was a housewife who believed that she had the right to elect politicians, of whom she knew nothing, to control giant industries, of which she had no knowledge. The man in bedroom F, car number 13, was a lawyer who had said, "Me, I'll find a way to get along under any political system." The man in bedroom A, car number 14, was a professor of philosophy who taught that there is no mind. How do you know that the tunnel is dangerous? No reality. How can you prove that the tunnel exists? No logic. Why do you claim that trains cannot move without motive power? No principles. Why should you be bound by the law of cause and effect? No rights. Why shouldn't you attach men to their jobs by force? No morality. What's moral about running a railroad? No absolutes. What difference does it make to you whether you live or die anyway? He taught that we know nothing. Why oppose the orders of your superiors? That we can never be certain of anything? How do you know you're right? That we must act on the expediency of the moment. You don't want to risk your job, do you? The man in drawing room B, car number 15, was an heir who had inherited his fortune, and who had kept repeating, "Why should Reardon be the only one permitted to manufacture Reardon metal?" The man in bedroom A, car number 16, was a humanitarian who had said, "The men of ability? I do not care what or if they are made to suffer. They must be penalized in order to support the incompetent. Frankly, I do not care whether this is just or not. I take pride in not caring to grant any justice to the able, where mercy to the needy is concerned." These passengers were awake. There was not a man aboard the train who did not share one or more of their ideas. As the train went into the tunnel, the flame of Wyatt's torch was the last thing they saw on earth.